What's up, everybody? This is Billy Duran, the owner of Dunkademics, the guy who brings you all of these dunk highlights. Today I wanted to discuss some of the highest jumpers in the world, some of the highest jumpers that I've filmed at least. Basically this weekend I filmed Guy Oliver, 5'10", insanely high jumper. He got me thinking, does he jump as high as Daniel Kabeya? For those of you who don't know, Daniel Kabeya is who I've been saying is the highest jumper for the last few years, ever since I filmed him in 2016. He knocked the foam roller off the rim, and I thought he was ridiculous. So, after filming Guy Oliver, I wanted to kind of go back, and I wasn't even thinking about making this video, but basically, I started going frame by frame of when Guy Oliver leaves the ground versus when he lands, and then I started comparing it to Daniel, and after that, I decided to throw a few more people in there. So that's what this video is about. It's a frame by frame comparison from when each jumper lands, starting from when they leave the floor. So before I start, this video is not going to be 100% accurate. So there's a few factors that are going to determine the accuracy of this video. So basically, I'm starting from when the dunker's foot first leaves the ground, and that's the first inaccuracy of this video. We think of vertical as starting from a flat-footed position and then landing in a flat-footed position with your legs straight. Unfortunately, that's not how these videos go. You jump from your tiptoes and then you land with not a fully straight leg. Sometimes it's only one leg. In this case, Guy Oliver kind of falls to the floor rather than a straight landing. So there are going to be some variables. In this video, do not pay attention to how high they get above the rim. All these rims are different heights for the most part, varying from maybe 9'9" to 10 foot. Actually all the way to 10'4", because Jonathan did a 10'4" height check. So don't pay attention to the rim height. We're going from when the dunker leaves the ground to when the dunker touches the ground on the landing. Starting off with Guy Oliver, he's the most recent. I just filmed him this weekend, and I'll play the jump first. So here's his full jump. It was ridiculous. And so basically, his foot is still barely on the ground here, and then you can see right here is the frames that I'm looking at. He leaves the ground at 118, and then go through the jump. And 217 is when he comes down. So this is 60 frames per second, so there will be 60 frames in a second, and he comes down at 217 after leaving at 118. So basically this is 59 frames out of 60, so he's almost in the air for a full second. And the frame rate is another thing that's going to make this video slightly inaccurate. Some of these videos are in 60 frames per second, and then there's one of Young Hollywood that's not 60 frames per second, and it makes it very hard to determine his frame rate. Anyway, so Guy Oliver, 118 is his starting point, and 217 is his finishing point. Ridiculously high. And as you can see, his foot is touching the ground here. His leg isn't fully straight. It's hard to tell the position of his body and everything like that. That's why this video isn't going to be 100% accurate. But basically I just want to analyze, and maybe you guys can come to some conclusions based off of the evidence that I'm showing. So keep that in mind for later. 59 frames for Guy Oliver. Let's go to Jonathan next. This is Jonathan doing a height check on 10 feet 4 inches at Venice Beach. This is another example of don't pay attention to the rim height, because there's too many variables that go into that. So we're just going from when his feet take off the ground until where he lands. And this, unfortunately, I didn't film the ground very well, but I'm starting it at 33.45 and going through the jump. Crazy how high he gets on 10'4" rim. And basically he's going to this frame, his heels are on the ground, so I ended it at 43. So he goes from 45 here until 43. And again, I gotta point this out, his legs are not straight, but 45 to 43, so that's 58 frames. I think his legs are slightly more bent than Guy's were, possibly. Not 100% sure, but still 45 to 43. So we've got Guy Oliver at 59 frames, Jonathan Clark at 58 frames. Next, actually we'll do another Jay Clark one. So let's see. So you can see the ground. He's off the ground here at 51. Go through. And his heels look pretty flat here, so we'll go to 48. So basically 51 to 48, depending on when you want to mark it. So this is 57 frames for this jump. Next, let's go to another crazy jumper, Myree Remix. This is one of his height checks. This rim is definitely low, so don't pay attention to the rim height. So here we go. Feet off the ground at 17-13. Chin above the rim because it's low. And then now Remix definitely lands with his leg the straightest out of anybody. Probably makes for more impact on this right knee of his. So for him, we go from 13 until 08. So this is actually a 55 frame jump, but his leg is definitely straighter than both Guy Oliver and Jonathan Clark. So hard to tell how much of a factor that is. I mean, his leg is still very straight here, so maybe if his leg was bent, this would be his ending, and then it would be 13 until 10. Who knows? That's why this video, don't really read too much into it. You can kind of make assumptions off of it, but we can't, decide a clear highest jumper just based off of this video. So this was 55 on his remix jump. And then let's go to his Las Vegas height check. This rim was definitely higher than the last rim. So we're starting at 23-25. And landing at 20. So same as the last one. Basically starting 25 goes to 20. So a 55 frame jump. But again, Remix more than any other, his right leg is super straight as he comes down, so not sure how much of a factor that is, but for the sake of this video, Remix is 55 frames. So brief recap, Remix 55 frames, Jay Clark on this jump got 58 frames, Guy Oliver got 59 frames. Now let's go to Daniel Kabeya when he knocked the foam roller off the rim. So his feet are still barely on the floor here. And then at 6:35 is when he's off the ground. And 33 is when he's touching the ground. So this is a 58. Same as Jonathan Clark from takeoff until touching the ground. And again, another variable that goes into this video, depending when I, judge the jump, there might be a little bit more space in between his feet when he takes off compared to some of the other ones. And then when he lands, his legs are fairly straight, maybe a little bit more than Guy Oliver. But doing my method, which isn't the most accurate, Daniel comes in at 58 frames. Guy Oliver was 59. The last one we have is Young Hollywood. This is the one that's the most difficult because this video is not 60 frames per second. So I'll show you what I mean by that. It was filmed at a lower frame rate. So when I skip, you'll see right here, when I go from 53 to 54, there's no movement because basically to add the extra frame rates, it just takes another frame of this same exact position and adds it to it. And as you can see, 55 to 56 is the same frame because it has to duplicate frames to make the video look normal. That's his jump. So this is very hard to tell exactly when he takes off basically, so his toes are kind of barely touching right here, and then here he's well above the ground. So I basically started it at 52 because of the whole skipping frames. So 52 is his start. This is also a low rim. And then 49 is his approximate finish. So going from 52 until 49. So he is at 57 frames in the air. And again, very hard to determine because the frame rate is different. Obviously this is a low rim, low angle, so if this is a 10-foot rim, this would be just impossible. Unfortunately, I don't have height checks from enough of the other guys. There's tons of guys out there right now, A.O. Jamal, Joe Sek, Sir Isaac. I don't have good height checks from those guys. I haven't filmed Joe Sek. I've only filmed A.O. Jamal once, and that was not his best jumping day at all. So I would love to do more, but basically this is just an informative video. I wanted to show you guys, what I was thinking about this week. My main two, I wanted to judge Guy Oliver and Daniel Kabeya. I would love to get them both in the same gym at the same time, using the same video camera, the same frame rate. I think that would be an awesome video because they're both right up there for the highest jumpers that I've ever seen. In this video, it seems like Guy Oliver might have the slight edge in the highest jumper debate, just based on these two videos, going from 118 to 217, 59 frames for Guy Oliver. Once again, this is not the most accurate video. It's only giving you guys a slight reference for who jumps higher, who's in the air longer. But now I want to throw it over to you guys. Who do you guys think is the highest jumper? Is my method bogus? What method do you guys think that I should use? Obviously, rim heights vary depending on what gym you go to. It's really hard to, determine how high somebody jumps just because of the rim height. I could do what I did with Daniel in his session, where I use a tape measure hanging down from the rim and put it to their head, but then you can't tell exactly how high above the rim they get. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Make sure you guys like this video and give it a thumbs up, and hit the post notifications if you haven't already. Make sure you don't miss any of the dunk highlights this summer. We've got dunk camp coming up next month, and there will obviously be a few contests this summer. So hit the subscribe button, hit the post notifications, and I'll see you next time.